Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Jimmy Dore Show. We have a special guest with us. It's Nick Brana. You know him as the founder of and director of the Movement for a People's Party. He's here. Hi, Nick. How are you?
Hey, Jimmy. Great to be here.
A little bit more about Nick. This is what I have written on this paper in front of you, Nick, and you tell me how accurate it is. It says the mission of the Movement for a People's Party is that's MPP, Movement for a People's Party, is building a coalition of working people, unions, community groups, student chapters, academics, progressive parties, and left organizations to launch a new People's Party. Is that correct?
Yep, that's it.
All right. And so now you're in Los Angeles. That's why you're in the studio. You've been on the show before, but always via Skype. So tell people, what you're doing in Los Angeles this weekend.
Yeah, so in LA, we are here going to the Left Coast Forum. You're going to be doing the event with Gail McLaughlin,
right,
Maria Estrada,
right,
about the California Progressive Alliance. We're working on that. But then the biggest reason that we're here in LA and in San Francisco and in Sacramento coming up is that we're hosting a series of labor forums for a new party. And that is we're gathering the unions and labor organizers in LA, in Sacramento, and in San Francisco who want to found a major new labor-based party. And we're bringing them together. So we've got about 50 people in each of these places who are union organizers, representatives of various different unions, and they're coming together. We have a two-pronged strategy. We want to, number one, create a slate of labor community candidates and run those in 2019. And then two, we want to form a new Labor Party Advocates. So the Labor Party Advocates in the 1990s was the organization that a whole bunch of different unions came together and formed as a new party. It was the basis of a new party, the Labor Party.
And what happened
in the 90s? Well, what happened is that unfortunately they they were ahead of public opinion. So at the time, it was a number of major unions, like NNU, for example, realized that...
What is NNU?
The National Nurses United.
Okay.
Yeah. And so they realized that the Democratic Party was just essentially like the Republican Party. You know, I mean, they had been undermining unions, public sector and private sector, for decades at that point, and unionization had declined by double digits.
And NAFTA was the final straw on that, right?
Right. NAFTA was the final straw, exactly. The way that they saw that the Clinton administration and the Democrats picked up right where Bush Sr. left off on NAFTA. And at that point, it dawned on a lot of the unions that the Democrats were not their allies and that we needed a labor-based party in the United States, like many Western countries. Most Western countries have labor-based parties. And so they formed first an organization called Labor Party Advocates, which is what we're looking to form right now, and the coalition that we're creating right now of unions today that want the same thing. And then Labor Party Advocates launched the Labor Party. Now, at that time, public opinion was, still very much in the throes of neoliberalism. That was the beginning of the New Democrats. And so the desire for an independent party was fairly low at that point. Today, public opinion has caught up with where the unions were back then when they did that. Now it's almost 2 out of 3 Americans who are calling for a major new party. That's a record high.
So you're saying somewhere in the high 60s?
It's 61% to 34%.
Oh, really? So it's 61 to 34 wants a new party, 34 don't?
That's right.
Okay, wow. Yeah. So twice as many. I mean, I'm not a math surgeon, but it's right up there.
And it's 71% of young people, of millennials. That's overwhelming. So
that's like 7 out of 10.
Most funny though, the most comic part of this though is that half of the Democrats. So millions of people have left the Democratic and Republican parties over the past 15 years, and they've become independents. Independents are now at about 45%. Democrats are about 27% of Americans. Republicans also 27% of Americans. So millions of Americans have left the two parties, the establishment parties. But of the people who remain inside the Democratic and the Republican parties, the funniest part is that half of them, 52% of current Democrats who haven't left, say that the Democratic Party does such a poor job that we need a major third party.
So why do you think no one's doing it? Why do you think, I mean, I know you're working, I mean, when I say no one, I mean people who are high profile, who could actually kind of instigate an exodus of elected Democrats and powerful Democrats into a third party that would challenge the Democrats, right? So why do you think, I mean, if there's so much support and a guy like Bernie Sanders who spent 30 years saying we need a third party, why do you think that they're not doing it?
It's a kind of learned helplessness, that people have told themselves that it can't be done. And then that's a self-fulfilling prophecy. But it's been done in our own history. The Republican Party replaced the Whigs over abolition at that point, and it can be done again. It's just in other countries too.
People forget that Eugene Debs had a big influence as far as moving the Democrats to the left.
Yeah.
And we don't have that right now. So whenever there's someone to the left, they just dismiss them, diminish them, and now they're outright calling them Russians. So if you don't give blind allegiance to a two-party system, you're brainwashed or a Russian. That's what people are saying today. I mean, that's how crazy it's gotten. Have you noticed how crazy it's gotten?
Yeah, it has.
So my theory is the pushback is so violent and so crazy. It's at Alex Jones level nuts against the Green Party people. And we're going to talk about it in the next story. It's so crazy nut. Like, for instance, in Ohio, right? So there was that election, that special election, and celebrities like Alyssa Milano were tweeting out about it. Why would people vote for a Green Party candidate in Ohio when there's so much at stake? I suspect Russian meddling. That's what she said.
I saw that.
So you saw that, right?
It's nuts.
So my point to her was, 70% of that district didn't vote.
Right.
Maybe they didn't think there was a lot at stake. Maybe that Democratic candidate couldn't convince 70% of the people. Even Democrats he couldn't convince to come out and vote for him. So it's not the Green Party. The Green Party is a totally separate party. People get to be... Go ahead. I'm sorry. I'm stepping on your answer. Go ahead.
I mean, we've got some of the lowest turnout rates in the Western world.
Right.
And that's because there is no option for people to vote for. People understand. Working people understand. This is one of the remarkable things and unfortunate dynamics inside the progressive movement now is that those majorities... 61% of Americans, 71% of millennials, those basically working people have decided, they've made up their minds. We need a major new party. They see through the scam. They don't want to play around. They don't want to fiddle with the establishment parties. They don't want a different variety or different flavor of it. No, they want something new. So that's what they're pushing for, and it's the progressive movement that incredibly seems to be the one that's confused.
Yes.
And is wringing its hands and says, oh, I don't know. What, we can't do this because every 2 years, we have to run back into the burning house that we have.
So here's what they were off. Here's what the Democrats were offering the Green Party people. They wanted the Greens to vote for the Democrats in Ohio. Here's what they were offering them. You ready?
I voted for John Kasich the last 3 times. I voted for Trump because I didn't like the way things were going in Washington. And now I'm supporting Danny O'Connor because I met Danny and I felt like he was very genuine. He's energetic, young, kind of brings a new perspective. John Kasich and Danny O'Connor both don't worry about the labels of Democrat, Republican. They're going to go get things done either way.
I'm Danny O'Connor, and I approve this message.
God damn.
That's the Democrats. Now you know why that the fucking Greens didn't vote for him? Because he's saying it's just like voting for John Kasich. Why would an environmentalist vote for John Kasich, a union-busting guy who wants to have every fracking well going at full speed? Why would they vote for a guy like that? This is what they were being offered in Ohio. I'm guessing Alyssa Milano's never been to Ohio.
The most ridiculous part about this is that the spoiler effect is not a immutable consequence of democracy.
Right.
It is a choice.
It's a choice.
The two parties have made that. You can structure democracy differently, and they have simply decided not to. So if these two goddamn establishment parties, who've created this system that disenfranchises working people, that disenfranchises Americans, that prevents us from having a multi-party system like most Western countries. Now they want to complain when they feel the effects of that? Give me a break. They could repeal it tomorrow. with ranked choice voting
Ranked
in
choi-
multi-member districts.
You are. So people don't realize that there's a thing called ranked choice voting, and you don't need to know what that is. All you need to know what that is that if they implemented that, it would get rid of the spoiler effect, meaning I could vote for Jill Stein, and if Jill Stein didn't have enough votes to win the election, they would just throw Jill Stein's name off the ballot and then take all those votes for her and give it to people's second choice, which would have been Hillary Clinton, and then Hillary Clinton would have won. But that they would rather have a third party to blame for a loss. That's my theory.
Exactly.
They would rather have a third party to blame for a loss and to demonize, because then if there isn't a third party and there's ranked choice voting and they lose anyway, then they have to blame themselves. But right now they're blaming the Russians, they're blaming Twitter trolls, they're blaming Facebook memes, they're blaming sexism, they're blaming racism, and they're blaming third parties. They're blaming the Greens, which got the least amount of votes they ever got. Hillary Clinton got 3 million more votes than Donald Trump. How many more fucking votes do you want? The real problem was the Electoral College, and you don't have ranked choice voting, and the Democrats aren't talking about either of those things.
Right.
So here's one more thing I want. You made me aware of this, and whenever I tell people, it bums them out. So here it comes. Do you know how many? So after Bernie Sanders' 2016 campaign, they had brand new Congress. We've got our revolution. We've got all these Justice Democrats. We've got all these progressive organizations, primary and corporate Democrats. Nick, I want you to tell people how many corporate Democrats have been successfully primaried this primary season. How many?
One.
How many?
Just one.
Wait a minute. How many?
Yeah, just one. Salon published it. We did when I was at Our Revolution, I was electoral manager there. It was my job to track things like this. I did the analysis myself. I looked at and it goes further than that, Jimmy. All of the congressional primary candidates of the progressive primary candidates who are running inside the Democratic Party who've won, almost all of them have won in super red districts, like double-digit red districts. So that means that come November, most of these people are going to get wiped out, and they're actually winning. Where they're winning is not in the blue districts against those incumbent establishment Democrats. Some of those districts are districts that, voted like for Bernie in 2016. Those are the districts that you would actually want to challenge. Instead, most of the victories are coming, the overwhelming majority of the victories are coming, more than like 80%, in those super red double-digit districts that the DNC doesn't even contest because it considers them that hopeless.
So how's the progress going? What do you want to tell people who are watching this video? What do you want to tell them, and what do you want them to do?
Well, I want to tell people that we have an opportunity to create a major new party, but we have to act on it. What we're doing right now, Jimmy, in addition to organizing with labor, in addition to building a coalition, because what needs to exist now, there needs to exist a kind of central nexus of within labor that is unified and cohesively pushing for a new party. So we're really fortunate to have some of the founders of the original Labor Party who are working with us on this, and the original Labor Party advocates. The other thing that we really want to do that we just started is we are now collecting ballot access pledges in states across the country. So we had more than 100 organizers on a call just last night who are going out and doing that. So that's what I would like to tell your viewers. We have an opportunity to do this if we really act on it. So in that way, what we're doing is when we submit for ballot access as the People's Party, we want to know that in each state has a different signature requirement to get ballot access. We want to know ahead of time that we have the signatures required to do that. And so the best way to do that is, and that we can do it quickly, we can blow them away. We can get terrific media coverage, applied for ballot access status, got it in, whatever weeks. So the best way to do that is what we've started doing now, which is for organizers, many of whom were on the Bernie campaign, to go out and canvass high traffic areas to get signatures for people who say, yes, when you file for ballot access, contact me. I'm going to be the one who wants, I want to sign up for that. I want to be one of the signatures, one of the founding members of the People's Party. That's what we're doing now. And that's what I'd like to tell your viewers to help us with.
Okay, and where can they go to do that?
forapeoplesparty.org.
The number 4 or FOR?
FOR. FORA peoplesparty.org. You can find us there, the Movement for a People's Party, and you can please fill out our volunteer form. That's where we'll put you in touch with the organizers that we have in your state so we can begin actually getting to each of those benchmarks in each of the states.
Okay. Well, I'll see you this weekend at the Left Forum, and maybe think about just calling it People's Party. A People's Party. I like that. Movement for
The People's Party.
The People's Party. I
That's
like that.
what it'll be.
That was
Well,
going to be,
if,
right?
If that's what people want.
Okay. Movement. Every time I hear that, it just doesn't hit my ear correctly. Every time I hear it. But anyway, all right, Nick Brana, thank you very much for being our guest. And you're going to stick around for the rest of the show?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Thanks for watching. Please make sure you're subscribed. Even if you think you are, you're probably not. It only takes a second to check. And then you have to ring that bell so they send you a notification when we drop a new video. Otherwise, they won't tell you when we drop new videos. And if you like our show, please help support it. Become a patron. We give you hours of bonus material every week, and we give a live stream. We do a live stream every Saturday at 2 p.m. Pacific time when you could ask us questions and we answer them back. Thanks for your support.